He says, I was racing in Mammoth in like 2017, 2018, and he crashed and he broke his ribs and hurt his back. I mean, he did something really bad. Goes into the hospital and, they give him all these meds and he's like, no, I don't want to take this. He sends his wife to the local dispensary in Mammoth. She buys Papa and Barkley, gives it to him, and he's like, this is it. This is what I'm going to use.
Wow.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Lambo and Leroy Show. We are a podcast about a little bit of anything and a lot of bit of everything.
I mean, we hang out with our friends and we talk to rad people.
That's all it is. It's just cool people in the industry of every industry. There's not any particular industry. A lot of it is automotive, aftermarket automotive industry. A lot of it is off-roading, racing, all that good stuff. But
well, like in our guest today isn't necessarily in the automotive industry, but he's a massive fan of the automotive industry too, and the motorsports industry and everything. But yet he's been successful in another industry, which allows him to have fun and be passionate in the industry that we currently work in and love too.
Exactly.
He's kind of a different market too. Like there's, cannabis, right? Everybody thinks about cannabis, getting high, laughing, giggles, munchies, and all that stuff. But there's a massive part to cannabis, and it's the wellness side. And I think anyone that's familiar with cannabis and the wellness aspect of it, Papa and Barkley is probably that name that they know. And
absolutely.
And we've got the account executive, the man, the myth, the legend, market manager, just the guy that's out there making sure that the stores that you want to go to have the product and have the right product, and also are educated in a way to make sure you're getting the right product. Tepi Benjamins, Papa and Barkley. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Dude, we're so stoked you're here, man.
My first podcast.
Dude, we're taking your virginity right now.
I love it. Great. What better way?
What better way?
It won't hurt, I promise.
Oh, hey. Yeah.
Hey, it might be uncomfortable, but it's not going to be painful.
All righty. I might have something for that.
Exactly. We're good.
So
dude, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's really rad. So Tepi and I, we were introduced through a process early in the stages of Mary Alice. He kind of came on, helped us go through it, and we were introduced to each other from a friend, Gene.
Mutual friend, yep.
Yeah. And going, like, my favorite part about besides his just personality, I mean, he's an awesome all-around person.
His name's freaking awesome, too.
Yeah, exactly. There's a story behind that also, right?
Can't wait to hear that.
I mean, if it's not PG rated, then I could tell you the story. It's my joke, but it's... we'll go into it later.
All right, deal. Perfect. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to remind you.
But what I found through this process of Mary Alice for the last 3 years, a lot of people have similar stories as to why they're in cannabis. Mm-hmm. And it's not what you would think, right? It's not because like, oh, I've got high my whole life and I just want to continue getting high. Like, that was never your motive, right?
No.
And so maybe start off with, I mean, we're going to get into Papa and Barkley, but how did you get into the cannabis industry?
Yeah, really interesting. So if we would have met, 20 years ago or whatever, there's no way I would be in cannabis. I didn't consume. I mean, I was a pretty straight edge kid, even though I grew up skateboarding and all that stuff. But, all my friends drank, smoked weed. I was always, the
responsible one?
Actually, yeah, and
actually,
I saved them a lot, from getting in trouble and all that stuff. But long story short, my mom had cirrhosis of the liver, and she, was drinking, and she was taking about like 12 pills a day.
Wow.
And, I was just like, by the grace of God, she survived surgery. But I was like, after surgery, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want any more surgeries. I don't want any more pills. Like, I don't know what else to do. So my longtime friend, high school buddy, stoner friend, gives me, he's like, Tepi, I know your guys' morals and beliefs and all this stuff, but maybe you should really try this cannabis oil. So back then it was bootleg. It was a brown bottle. Didn't know what was in it. Where did it come from?
He's like passing it behind your back.
Pulls it out of his pocket. And he's like, look, seriously. And I said, okay, man, I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So I start giving it to my mom, and within weeks I start seeing progress. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, my mom was like at 70 pounds. So the THC was giving her the munchies. She started eating more. She started sleeping better because her pain went from a 10 to a 6.
Wow.
You know, and then she started realizing like, hey, you know, maybe we don't need to start or using these pills anymore. Maybe this is working.
Yeah.
So long story short, you know, I got contracted. So my background has been in the fashion world. So I've worked for Quicksilver and Diesel and Porsche Design and stuff like that, and retail. And I get a phone call from a buddy in Orange County that wins this, I guess, lottery, you can say, to open a dispensary in Santa Ana. And he says, hey, I know you've done retail and all that stuff. Can you come and check this out and see if you can help me move the project forward? So I'm like, yeah, retail, no problem. Cannabis, I don't really know. I know as much as I know about using this oil that I've been given to my mom and all that stuff. And, you know, build out the store, help them get the license. You know, a lot of actually what we're kind of working with together as well. But along the lines, when we're building out the menu and looking at bringing in brands, I get introduced to Papa and Barkley. And the narrative was basically, hey, there's this great brand that makes this cannabis oil, but it's licensed, it's solventless.
You know what's in there?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's from Humboldt. You should try it for your mom, you know, and also consider it for the dispensary, but try it for your family. And I did. I made friends with them. I actually started ordering product direct from them, giving it to my parents. And my mom's like, this stuff is the best. I've never felt this amazing before. And long story short, continued the friendship and started working for them full time in 2019. So that's a very short, you know, fast forward.
To sum it up for sure.
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm very passionate about, you know, helping people. And it's interesting because I've met the most amazing people in life, but also coming from the action sports, you know, surf, skate, and snow world, the opportunities of meeting, you know, let's say Sean or, you know, you guys, or even, you know, the Fast House guys.
Yeah.
Like, I love, you know, off-road and dirt bikes and all that stuff, but I've just been a fan watching Supercross and, you know, going to the stadiums and all that stuff. But because my knowledge and connection with cannabis therapy has allowed me to get introduced to, you know, real people, but they happen to be with brands or, you know, entrepreneurs or these companies. And I'm like, it all makes sense to me because I don't see how you could ride a dirt bike that fast, you know, for that long.
That often.
You have arm pump.
Yeah.
You know, like me, I'm a fat old man and I'm like, I do one lap and my back hurts. And
I'm worn out before I try to start it.
Dude, kickstarting the bike. I mean, you know, but so it's been this awesome, you know, journey that I feel like it's just happening. Now, obviously I'm very passionate about, you know, off-road and dirt bikes and action sports. But at the end of the day, we're just real people that, you know, hey, our back hurts. We're getting older. You know, my neck is whiplash from going to Glamis or whatever. And it's like, guys, there's natural products out there that could work for you. You know?
And for people that don't understand, I mean, are these natural products that you're talking about? I mean, is this something that they're smoking? And are they getting high off of it? Like what is this? Like, what's this process, and what are some of the products that you have?
Yeah, great. So great opportunity to, you know, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you,
you know,
stoked.
You know, my neck's hurting a little bit. Can you mind rubbing some of this on for me?
I can. I don't know if you want to film it, but you know,
do I have to take my shirt off?
Well, if you feel comfortable. So what you're looking at is this is our balm that we make. So this is actually our high THC balm. And
do you like eat it?
No, it's actually a topical, right? So for instance, your neck, your back, arm pump, sore muscles, stuff like that, you rub it on.
Okay.
And so in our line, we have ratios. So we have a 1-to-3, which is, the first number is CBD.
Put it on
now. That's for nighttime.
You should put it on now.
CBD and THC. So this is the high ratio THC. Simply put, and again, we won't go into it that deep, but CBD is for inflammation, THC is for pain. Really? So when you use it as a topical, even if you get a headache and you rub it on your temples, Or like for me, I have asthma. So when I get, asthma attack or something like that, I literally use it like Vicks Vapor Rub and I rub it on my chest.
Really?
So
And opens it up.
Well, there's eucalyptus in there, so that naturally helps asthma, but it's reducing the inflammation and helping me calm down.
Well, it's like when you look at the ingredients, it's not like there's 1,000 ingredients on it and you have no idea what it is. There's simple ingredients and it's all natural.
Yep.
Cannabis, coconut oil, beeswax, oil, eucalyptus, tea, peppermint, lavender, vitamin E oil. Like,
Right.
How much more natural does it get than that?
And that's the thing is, we're very much committed to, testing not only the soil, but the environment where our farmers up in Humboldt and the Emerald Triangle grow the cannabis. These guys have been doing it for decades and all that stuff. But what I brought for you, which is interesting, you show the sleep thing. This has been a big thing for us is...
So let me cut you off real quick. No, it's okay. I want to cut you off because I have a story about the sleep stuff. And perhaps you can kind of help some of us navigate through my story out, which is I've gone to some of the dispensaries and I've asked for sleep stuff.
Okay.
And I don't get educated at all. They don't ask much. They hand me something. I take it. I wake up like with a hangover the next day. And I don't know what's going wrong. And no one's really kind of taken that time to create the sleep. Why am I waking up super drowsy the next day? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Well, you're not doing anything wrong, but the thing is everybody's metabolism is different, right? So kind of the saying goes is, why can someone take a shot of tequila and get super drunk, right? And then other people can drink a bottle and still act normal. THC is essentially the same, so there's not just the right, like, oh, this dose and this one gummy, everyone's experience is going to be the same.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we pride ourselves, and even myself too, is I'm not just the sales guy. The conversation is always about education and what ailments are you addressing, kind of a thing. But I look at it as, doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you're into. I mean, everyone needs to sleep. And I'm sure a lot of people have sore muscles and all that good stuff. So
especially at our age now.
Man,
every day.
40 Club or whatever. Yeah. So that's a great thing to talk about is, why is one thing working or why does it make you feel this way? The founders of Papa and Barkley are very much into formulating the right product to help. Like, this is specific on sleep.
Yeah.
Does it help you, fall asleep, stay asleep, wake up refreshed? Because I have no problem falling asleep.
Okay.
I have a problem staying asleep.
Yeah.
Some, like my wife has a problem falling asleep.
Right.
She has no problem staying asleep.
Right.
And that's awesome.
So like something like this, the gummy, I would say, look, if you aren't too familiar with cannabis consumption, right, then start with a quarter of a gummy or half a gummy, which is very low dose because each gummy has 4 milligrams of THC. So like with me, I'm a low dose consumer, right? 1 gummy, I'm good. My wife, half a gummy.
And she's good.
Right. My mom, 2 gummies. Right.
Oh, wow.
But we had to learn that through the process of, okay, Mom, we're going to start with half a gummy the first night. She's like, yeah, it helped a little. And I said, okay, tonight, let's try a whole gummy. She's like, yeah, that was better. And then after a week, she's like, no, I'm a 2 gummy person, but that's basically
That's awesome.
The conversation. This is actually really exciting. This is our newest product, which is our 1-to-1 gummy.
Okay.
So equal balance of THC and CBD,
Right,
where I think is the optimal. Like we have that in a tincture form as well, but
so it's 100 milligram CBD, 100 milligram.
The whole package
package
is
is cool.
100. Yeah. But this is
5
There's
each.
20 pieces, 5. Okay, cool.
5 milligrams of CBD, 5 milligrams of
Nice.
THC. Now, me knowing, like when I first had this product, I actually started with half a gummy.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, how am I going to feel?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. My wife's like, dang, you slept like a bear. You were snoring. And I said, I woke up feeling great. I said,
that was
sorry.
with this- the
that
new
was
one?
with this one, right?
So is that what you would use it for? Is like a sleep application or?
more of this sleep, our CBN sleep gummy is what it's for. But see, here's the thing. There's still THC will address the pain. CBD will address the inflammation. But for me, I already felt relaxed already.
Yeah.
But this is kind of that equal balance of, like you're saying, like maybe you're going, you're in Glamis or at King of the Hammers and all this stuff, and you're beat up for the day. And instead of taking a Tylenol or a Motrin, maybe take half a gummy or a gummy, right, to address that. And, CBD does make you feel relaxed.
Because essentially it's not like repairing anything. It's relaxing the body so it can heal itself, right?
I mean, sleeping is healing. Why do you think when you're sick, they tell you to sleep? But if you're not sleeping, how's your body healing, right?
Do it.
Yeah. So, and again, I don't want to make this a commercial about Papa and Barkley, but
it's something what it's all about.
It's interesting because like how you and I met.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure your listeners know about Mary Alice and how it's tied in.
We've introduced it here and there.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, do you want to go into that so that you can kind of
I think you need to, because we haven't really talked about it too much. You dropped it a little bit, when Jess came on. But
I mean, that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And that's how we met. And I mean, so for people listening, Mary Alice is a dispensary that we're opening. We're going to open here in Corona. It should be open.
Licensed.
Licensed.
Very important.
At the best spot in Corona.
Right
we feel is probably the best spot. And we're opening, early April. Yeah, and should have a grand opening. We're hoping, fingers crossed, 420.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, sorry to cut you off, I had no clue about Gibson exhaust performance, all that stuff. I mean, I'm green. I'm not gonna, but we connected, mutual friends, all this stuff. I'm like, wow, great building, great location.
Yep.
Corona's now implementing 15 licenses?
12
licenses. Okay. So you check all the boxes because you've been a business owner in, the great city of Corona for a long time. So, and then that's how we got introduced is kind of to.
See, he helped us along the way through the application. He had some experience and from his, opening the other retail stores and stuff. And we kind of convinced him to do this interview process with us. But he also had a big part of the wellness aspect, and that being our kind of like our mission statement.
He understands it
with it because wellness is huge. Like I don't smoke it. I don't get high. I don't want to get high, but there's such a huge part to this, and he brought such a wellness aspect to it. And I'll never forget. So we were going to do this application process, and we had to do it in front of a board of it's called HDL. I'm not sure if that makes if that resonates with anyone out there, but HDL, it's like this cannabis board of attorneys and experienced people that are sitting there scoring us by points in each category based on a verbal presentation
in person.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
scary.
So we were scary. And so we got a letter up front, and they're saying, no pens, no papers, no phones, no notes,
just sit there and
no
talk.
Nothing.
I'm like,
right?
What?
And this thing was probably going to be a good hour long, at least, right?
So each person, or was that your whole crew together?
No, they only allowed three people, representatives from your
company.
Brand, from your company. Okay. And let me tell you, when I was telling Sean, I said, when we did the application in Santa Ana, we didn't have to go in front of a board.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was, they had a similar qualifying scale, let's say, of, okay, you own the building or you live here, you're going to hire these people and blah, blah, blah,
locally,
blah, blah. But it was all written.
Okay.
This was I won't lie. I went back to my wife and said, I'm excited because I think, yes, finally we're going to bring licensed cannabis and a dispensary to Corona, but they want an in-person interview.
Wow.
And they're like, and I'm part of it. And I'm like, oh, public speaking is I think the most second scariest thing in the world, right? And
it's
yes,
tough.
We all have a mouth on us. You
can talk, but when you get in front of people you don't know, and it's very high pressure like that, it's a different world.
And guess they're standing there blank.
Yep.
And you're just
and they're not giving you any expression the whole time.
Yeah, no.
So here's how it goes. So we had to create a PowerPoint presentation for them, right? And so we went, which is how do you condense all this knowledge, all this stuff that you have to this small little presentation,
25 minutes of presentation and then another, let's say 25 minutes of Q&A.
Oh my
and so
gosh.
we're rolling in, we go into it we practice every week, sometimes twice a week, just memorizing
Before and after
the power
work,
presentation, talking, because we were this all got to come from the head.
Yeah.
And their questions are very specific to specific answers, right?
It's intimidating.
And so we roll in and we're like, all right, here we go. And the best thing about it is we were extremely pressured. When we walk in, they had a PowerPoint presentation that we created in front of us, and they had it on a screen that you could read easily, and it just took all the weight right
cool.
off of us. And it's not like we needed to read it or anything, but
you could have, you knew.
But if we needed to reference it, we could, and it took all the weight off, and clearly we went through and we killed it.
Yep.
And what we always thought along the way was our local ties, our city ties, the local business was going to like offset maybe where we weren't as strong as others. And you look at the top 25 of all the scoring, they all maxed out in that same area. So essentially we beat them at their own game, outworked them all, had great people supporting us. And when we walked out of that meeting, we literally had to like take all of our cell phones and stuff and put it like in an ice chest in a box before we walked into the room.
Wow.
And then we walked out, grabbed it. We all felt like we did everything we possibly could.
We gave it our all.
Yeah.
No
matter what happens, you give it your all.
There was no what ifs.
I think that experience made us better
100%.
because, my whole career, well, I'll tell you this. What's today? Wednesday?
Yeah.
So Monday, day before Valentine's Day, I just led a 50-person education for a new store that I'm doing in LA.
Wow.
And no butterflies. I was confident, and I actually thought about our presentation, right? Because I'm like, that's 3
rad.
people in suits versus new staff bud tenders for this beautiful dispensary that's opening. I said, I'm excited, and the pressure was off, so to say.
And when you're educating these people, you're getting feedback from them, personalities, everything.
Yeah.
These 3 people we're looking at, 0. Like
it's like trying to get out of, not that I've been in jail or anything, but like you're trying to present yourself to get probation or get out, and they're just looking at you like
there wasn't like a nod or anything.
And we tried to crack a joke. I think we, because of who we
to break
are,
the ice a little bit.
Nothing. They're just not funny.
Notes.
Not funny notes.
And we're like, oh my gosh. And at that point, we're like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea where we fall because there's 51 other people who
applying
are
for 12.
who are highly qualified, have tons of experience, multiple stores, and have spent millions.
Yeah, we've heard the big brands trying to come in because there's only 12 spots, and we're like, well, we're the Bad News Bears, but we're going to give it our all.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
And here we are. So I love how, it's interesting because having this, role in the cannabis industry, especially on the wellness side, has provided these opportunities to meet more and more people, and also to pursue I went to King of the Hammers, last week, and it was amazing, and it's, here I am finding myself talking to athletes and drivers and
cool.
And I'm giving them samples and stuff like that. And then it was really cool too, because I didn't realize that there was an off-road truck that was sponsored by a dispensary in Orange County.
Yep.
And I was like, that's rad. Look at what's happening here.
And I am cross-pollinating, like you're saying.
Yeah, I jumped on Instagram. I don't know them. They're not my account because they're in Orange County and I'm the LA guy, but I'm like, hey, this is Tepi from Papa and Barkley, dude. I just saw your truck and so rad. And the guy was like, yeah, that's what's up. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Where are you? I said, no, I'm at King of the Hammers. He's like, oh, we already left, because I messaged him on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him on Instagram. I said, that's so rad. I dream of, I was like, ooh, Papa and Barkley, can we put a
sponsor
sticker
truck
on I don't care if it's a VW Bug, which I think are amazing. Like, let's
which
start
costs
small.
11.
Anything.
Yeah,
Just
anything.
get me on something.
Start something.
Yeah.
Start somewhere, man. They're doing it.
There's a lot
awesome.
of awesome aspects too, and that's what cannabis is kind of becoming more mainstream as
Become
more
more
people
socially acceptable.
Yeah, it's
and it's because more people are being educated on it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we can promise that, like Mary Alice, is that education is key.
Yep.
The customer experience is everything.
Now,
And
why is it called Mary Alice?
we named it after my grandmother, Mary Alice. She was, big on the CBD and wellness. She lived to be 96 years
Amazing.
old,
Awesome.
just a champ, right?
Yeah.
And was the epitome of your grandmother.
Love it.
Strong, but loving, but dry sense of humor, straightforward, everything you would expect from a grandmother.
Yeah. Love
it.
She was, and that's kind of how Mary Alice wants to be to all of our, not even customers, our friends, our family, the people that are going to come in. We want to provide solutions, but we want to take the time, have the time to give them the proper solution. And work through it. I mean, that's what and all businesses are. Most people open these dispensaries and their solution is to make more money. Well, certainly it can do that, but there's also the solution is you're helping people with their needs, what their needs are, and there's lots of opportunities to create specific solutions for each person.
Yep.
Being able to we have the luxury of being able to speak to you and you help explain this to us.
Yeah.
I've gone to 2 dispensaries. You go in, they don't speak to you. They just want to get you in and out, in and out. We have an education center that he was big on helping us put together.
So smart.
That's built into the room to educate people on, have meetings, invite people from the community to come in and be educated on it.
Yeah.
Or if you want a one-on-one consultation when you're there, because sometimes you don't want to be like standing in line with a bunch of people sitting there and then just start like pouring your heart out about something that you need and you're looking for some help with, and you just want to like maybe sit like in a more confined private area. We have that too.
It's so intimidating going into those places. Like I've never been a THC or a cannabis person. I know a lot of my family is, a lot of my friends are, but I've just never been there, and I've never been into it a lot. But like I've gone into plenty of dispensaries, and it's so intimidating going in there. It's like, dude, my ankle really hurts because I've been working out a lot, and I know it's inflamed.
Right, here, smoke this; it'll feel better.
Yeah. And then, but the thing is, I don't want to ask. I don't even want to ask. I feel intimidated going in there.
Well, yeah, you feel vulnerable because you're opening up on, hey, I've never met you before, but I have this kink in my back, or I rolled my ankle trying to skateboard again, or whatever it might be. But I think you'll enjoy the balm, like if you really do have a...
No,
does it smell like, are you going to smell like like an ounce of weed when you're sitting there rubbing this stuff on, you go to work, and they're going to be like,
I mean, no, because, obviously there's natural, there's tea tree oil and eucalyptus and stuff like that. And it is child resistant, so it might take you a second.
Well, because
Sean can't get it then.
Like, it's supposed. I'm not. Like a child shouldn't be able to open it within like a certain amount of time, right? Is that how it goes, or something?
Theoretically, there. Obviously, we're one of the most compliant companies here in California, but it's interesting because like this is a child resistant bag.
Yeah.
But I mean, you take scissors and
cut it open.
But
it smells good.
It smells really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't smell like cannabis at all.
That's actually a very...
Like if I were to rub it on my nose right now, what is it going to do?
Is it
Why, does your nose hurt?
No.
Oh.
Your nose hurts. My neck hurts.
Dude, that smells really damn good.
So, yeah,
Crazy.
I always say, you woke up, you slept wrong with, kinked neck or whatever, put that on. Now, again, this will give you a few hours of relief, or at least it should, kind of a thing. But it's again, everyone's experience is different.
But now, are you supposed to take something like this, really just kind of put in? Are you supposed to rub it in? Like, what's the best?
I'd say put at least a dime or a quarter size, and massage it in, kind of a thing. And again, it's a topical, so it's not going to hit your bloodstream. But here's a disclaimer too. Papa and Barkley, like if you look up papaandbarkley.com, there's a lot of information on there. But if you're a first responder or you get drug tested at work, we might not be the solution for you because, yes, this is a THC product.
Yeah, it's not just CBD.
Right. But here's the interesting thing. We have a hemp-derived division that I manage as well.
If you rub this in your neck it might register THC in your blood? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but see, you have ingestibles
the gummies and stuff like that.
And tinctures and capsules that we also offer as well. So, but we actually have a CBD line that we sell at Mother's Market and Erewhon in LA and Vitamin Shop and stuff like that nationally. But it still has 0.3% THC, which it's not enough to get you high, but
it'll still show up it
will still show up on a drug test. Yeah. Okay. So that's the challenge where I meet firefighters and police officers all the time. And even my own cousin retired from
Do they really get drug tested? Like all the time?
Randomly.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Of course.
But it's interesting because I know firemen in certain departments that they're like, no, we all use CBD and we could take this because we all do our job, blah, 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 blah. There's no issues there.
Yeah.
Right? So
I guess it depends on who's running the show.
I guess it depends on who, I guess. Yeah.
And it's not up to us,
no,
obviously.
for sure.
We have obviously want, more people to be able to use our products. But you bring up a good point. As the years progress, it has become more socially acceptable. We provide a lot of information and education, And not only that, we have what's called COAs, which are certificates of analysis on our website to show what did we test this product for? Heavy metals, microbials, toxins, all that stuff. Like we lead the industry by showing all this information, but not everyone does that. Yeah. They say, "Oh yeah, it's tested. What did you test for?" Yeah, it's tested. Don't worry, it's on the paper. And we're like, "Yeah, no, we break it down."
So now we've been talking about this stuff towards us being old, neck pains, everything, all that stuff. Yeah, and that's obviously one part. Yeah, but what you enjoy the most too is all the athletes. You've worked with some amazing supercross athletes, you off-road athletes. What can you tell us about some of these athletes and why are they using it?
Yeah, well, the most exciting...
And it's for all ages, really, right?
Well, obviously, minors would need to, have...
all ages.
But as far as like the creams and the rubbing on, minus the edibles.
Yeah, we would say that obviously, 18 or 21 and up, right? Because that's usually, you got to be 21 to go into a dispensary, right? But... you bring up a good point, which I think is one of the most fun and exciting times is I had a buddy that introduced me to the guys at Fast House. And I said, oh my gosh, I love their product. They're great. And they're like, come to Glen Helen, which is down the street from my house, and bring some product. I'll make the introduction. I'm like, rad, cool. So I go and, I meet the crew and stuff. And obviously everyone's, nice, and
everybody loves Tepi.
Come on, how could you not?
But for me, I'm like, hey, so nice to meet you, and I know what you guys do, and your brand's cool and all, but what's going on? And one of the founders is like, I don't sleep, and I have anxiety and all this stuff, and I bust out these gummies, and I give them like a little care package, and give them, kind of the rundown on what to do, and because they have this race going on, they're all sleeping there, they've got their pit and everything like that. And they literally call me like a day or two later. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't slept that good.
Wow.
In a long time, especially too, if people are racing, you've got butterflies, you're staying up at night.
Well, and then too, if they wake up groggy, that's not going to work for them too. They kind of put a lot of trust in you to even take those.
And
I said,
I know it kind of sounds, sketchy, like, oh, you're going to try this new product or whatever that you don't know how it's going to perform for you. But they're like, I need to sleep, And I said, well, take it an hour before bedtime. Give yourself at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Long story short, that's how I got connected with them, and it's been amazing. And we just had this meeting about, I said, how do we get more people in the world to discover cannabis therapy, cannabis wellness, not necessarily Papa and Barkley. Of course, I work for them and I want them to use Papa and Barkley, but in general. And it's interesting. So Kenny, who's one of the founders, told me, he says, because I asked him, I said, how did you know about Papa and Barkley before we even met? He says, I was racing in Mammoth in like 2017, 2018, and he crashed and he broke his ribs and hurt his back. He did something really bad. Goes into the hospital and, they give him all these meds and he's like, no, I don't want to take this. He sends his wife to the local dispensary in Mammoth. She buys Papa and Barkley, gives it to him, and he's like, this is it. This is what I'm going to use.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it just randomly happened like that.
Randomly happened years and years ago.
Yeah.
And then we get an introduction, and I'm blown away. I'm like, wait, you've already known about Papa and Barkley? And so that obviously made the relationship a lot better and stuff like that. But, I look at it as the bigger scale of watching athletes, no matter what the sport. It's funny. I went to the Surfer Cross down in, Paula, which was the Fox Raceway. And I ran into old buddies from back in the day. And they're just like, oh, my arm pump. They're like our age trying to still race with the kids. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, I bring a balm. And I'm like, I haven't seen these guys in 20 years.
You're rubbing them down.
I'm like, here, come here, homie.
Let me massage you. I got
I'm not kidding. They came back and said, dude, that was the best heat I ever had. Because, now their hands are hurt. And I said, there you go. Call me when you need more or go down to the local shop wherever you live and
pick some up.
Pick it up. So for me, I'm living vicariously through these guys and these athletes because, yeah, I'm an enthusiast, I'm a fan, but just to hear that something that I gave them actually improved their race or their day or whatever, I mean, that's purpose-filled right there. You know what I mean? And then obviously get invited to more cool stuff. Like when I met Sean, I was like, wait, Sean, can you give me a tour of your factory? Because we're in the office. Like, I don't know what you do. And he opens up the door and we go in the back and these guys are welding on these side-by-sides and trucks. And I said, I want to kind of renegotiate my contract. Can I get an exhaust for my truck? And he's like, absolutely. And let me tell you, I'm like your biggest fan. I'm just like,
so cool though.
I'm like, for my son's birthday, I said, we're putting a Gibson exhaust on your truck.
Heck
you know, I mean,
but that's what's all, dude. It's what's all about, man. It's all about your connections you make through the industry, and then just constantly is widening that. It's always growing. It's always
and the most refreshing part for me meeting someone like Tepi is I kind of went in with that thought and that I guess made up visual of what cannabis industry was.
Yeah,
kind of trap shops, the high, the everything,
right.
and I hope it is for everybody listening too. It was extremely refreshing to meet someone genuine like you. And what I found through this journey of the last 3 years, there's a ton of genuine good people in the industry that have been introduced to it because of the wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're usually the ones running most of these places, and it's going to take time for it to trickle down and that education to become a solid focus, a hyper point for them. But it's there, and if anyone's had a bad experience on cannabis, they've experienced, went to go look for some wellness side, and they had a bad experience. You just got the wrong product, or you're talking to the wrong person.
Yep.
You should just try to educate yourself as much as you can prior to going in.
Yep.
And just and give it a shot, because there's massive benefits to it, and you've proven it along the way. I mean, when you're talking about athletes and their life is dependent on their body and the wellness of their body to do whatever sport it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're taking this stuff to ensure their body is in shape and can handle the abuse, it speaks volumes for where it's at.
Yeah.
They're not doing it to get high and forget about their pain. No. They're doing it to really relax their body and fix their body.
Well, here's a shameless, thing, or no, not shameless. Well, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I'm 46 years old, right? First time I've ever been to Glamis was literally weeks ago. And I don't know why. Okay. It changed my life. Obviously my family's like, oh my gosh, how have you never been? And I've had this grin ever since, but, so we're out there and it was an off weekend, and I won't lie, the sand dunes made me a little nauseous.
Yeah.
Right. It happens.
Were you riding with someone, or were you driving?
No, I was.
You were riding.
I was riding.
Yeah,
and you were in the back of the car too.
Oh, it's even worse.
Okay,
yeah.
right. And my cousin doesn't drive that smooth. Sorry, cousin, I have to tell you, babe. Anyways.
Throw him under the bus.
It's not always smooth in the dunes.
It's not.
But here's the thing, as a kid, I was hitting roller coasters and going to Six Flags, no problem. Man, in their 40s, things change, right? So I realized the first day, I'm like, dude, it's so beautiful. 3/4 of the day, I'm having a blast, best time of my life. But, going in the big dunes and the ups and downs, I was like, oh, dude, I'm getting like kind of seasick. I ended up taking a CBD capsule because CBD has been known to help with nausea and stuff like that. And that's, really, really helped me the rest of the trip.
Did it really?
Yeah, no joke. And so that's where I'm like, it's interesting how I'm using, you could use these products for other things. And I'm just a normal guy. I'm not a racer. I'm not an athlete. But I'm just like, I try to tell people, I'm like, guys, you can try this, to use instead of your motion sickness pill or the thing, the wives were actually, they're like, oh, we use the wrist thing. And I'm like, I'm good. I took a CBD capsule. It seems to be working, all this stuff, and I'm good. But I was tripping. I said, oh my gosh, what a trip on how I didn't even realize that wasn't even a thought.
Yeah,
and I
ended
ended
up
or
just to be getting sick.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, dudes, we're gonna have a blast. And even my wife, she says, how was it? I said, it's amazing, but I actually got nauseous.
Yeah.
You know, because the dunes are freaking huge.
They are, man.
You know, and the drop. And
No, it's crazy. It's a lot of just swaying and swaying.
Yeah, I can't only imagine what the bigger cars and the faster. I mean,
When you jump in a Funko, man, I've been out there in Funkos, and it's just like, especially because they have the windshield on them, and it doesn't have that wind that help you too, like cool you down or anything. So just like really like, oh.
But sometimes though, the faster you go, the better off you are because you're giving your mind less time to think about what you're doing. A lot of times when you kind of get sick, is you have enough time to mentally plan. We're gonna go that way, but then the car goes that way. So you know when they're zigging, you're zagging, and it kind of is like whoa, just kind of gets you going.
Well, I tried to tell my wife. I said the only way I know how to solve this problem is I need to buy my own car so that I know where I'm going and then I'm not going to get sick. And she said, nice try.
So what are you buying?
No, she said, nice try.
Well, you know, speaking of cars, you know, how did you get into the how did you become a fan of the automotive industry? Because you do have a sweet ride too that you kind of fell upon.
Well,
not fell upon, but you just saw the opportunity, took it, and just okay.
Well, yeah. So another thing that we're into, besides cannabis is my wife's in real estate. So I'd like to say I'm in real estate too because I help her and all that stuff, but
but you're not.
But I'm not. I don't have my license, which I am getting my license, babe. Okay, trust me. Yeah, I have to because it's gotten to the point where
she needs your help.
I'm helping her, and she's
awesome.
like, "You really shouldn't be saying that unless you're licensed." And it's time. It's been she's been licensed for many years, and we were just in Big Bear yesterday because she's closing escrow on a killer property right at Snow Summit.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because I'm like, hey, did you check the weather? And she's like, she has a Prius. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, it's going to be sunny. I'm all, did you check the weather? And I'm like, there's a snowstorm coming in.
Yeah, did they get hit?
You're going to drive no Prius.
That's not going to work out.
So we were up there all day and all that stuff. But my point is, like, with real estate, when the pandemic hit, we had an opportunity to go out to Montana. And since, I work remotely, so to say, I was like, let's get in the truck and drive to Montana. And, I'll tell you this, if you have a chance, get out on the road and just drive somewhere far. I didn't even know where Montana was. I mean, I'm sorry.
That way?
It's like, it's up what do you mean? It's here. It's, it's 15, 16 hours away.
Yeah.
So she's doing a real estate thing. Here's the crazy thing. Get to Montana. We're there at like 3 a.m. because I'm like, no, we're driving straight through. I'm going to make it. All this stuff.
No bathroom stops. No nothing.
No, yeah. There's cannabis billboards. I'm like, wait, what? Cannabis is legal in Montana? So at the time, this is back in 2020, I was able to sell Papa and Barkley to certain dispensaries out there. And so it allowed me to go back to Montana a couple times more until the law changed. We can get into that later. But I have that tendency to like look in the recycler, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. And all of a sudden this Bronco pops up, an early Bronco. And it's a dope photo on the plains, like on a ranch.
Sick.
And I'm like, I remember, well, no, but I didn't have money. I said, oh man, that's cool. And I remember the day, because my wife and I are supposed to go to dinner to the spot, and I said, well, I want to go 10 minutes this way to go check something out. And she's like, no, we're not looking at whatever you want to look at. And I said, well, no, come on, we really got to go. And she actually got mad at me. I said, it'll take 10 minutes. It's only this way. And we had to go the opposite way. We pull up to this guy's house, and no one's there, but this green 69 Bronco is sitting in the driveway.
Sick.
And I pull up, and my wife's like, what is that? I'm all, a Bronco. I said, that's what I wanted to look at. So she gets out her phone, starts doing the selfies, all this stuff. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, the keys are in the ignition. So I'm messaging him, hey man, I'm at your house. Keys are in the ignition. He's like, yeah, take it for a spin. And I'm like, what?
No way.
So I jump inside, fire it up, and my wife's like, what are you doing? And I said,
we're
dude,
stealing it, honey.
The guy
Legit
just
said.
Yeah.
Take it out.
I said, the guy just said we can take it for a spin. And I'm like,
only
I don't
in
know.
Montana, man.
I'm like, are we getting punked or I don't know.
Would be arrested
I mean,
right
no
now?
one's there. It's just, we're drive up to this house, no one's there. Get in, we start driving down the street, and she's like, I want it. And I said, you don't even, for one, 5 minutes ago, you were just mad at me, and she's like, yeah, but if you're looking at it, that means we could probably afford it. And I said, well, okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's make an offer. And long story short, we came home with this Bronco.
Sick, man.
And
Did you drive it home?
I flatbedded it because it's got 33 KO2s on it, and I didn't want to mess them up. They're nice and pretty, and I'm like, that's a 1,000-mile drive.
Yeah,
no way.
That's gonna mess them up.
So yeah, but I'll tell you, like, I never planned on buying, you know, a truck or anything like that. But not only has it made my relationship with my wife better, because that's like our thing.
That's
our
cool.
date. You know,
They have like an Airstream they tow behind it too, and they go camping and stuff
way.
with it.
Yeah. But let me tell you, what made
sick.
it so much better was the exhaust.
Well,
Because
and the stuff we fixed on it for you too.
You
Before
did,
you went,
actually, yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
I'm gonna tow the Airstream up to Big Bear. I'm like, we should
Hold
probably fix some of
on.
this.
I don't
fix
know.
some of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I had your guy. I said, "Hey, you weld, right?" He's like, "Yeah." Can you fix
Weld.
the door and this and that? He's like, "I got you." Yeah, you know. But
It's awesome.
But you know, that's the thing. It's probably a lot of it. A lot of it is hanging around you guys. You know, seeing all this stuff, but also it's like, look, we're getting older. We need to enjoy life. You know, and another thing too, like, you know, learning about what happened with Ken Block. You know, I almost worked for the Hoonigans when he first launched that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember at the time, my wife says, they only have T-shirts and stickers. How are you going to, you know, provide for the family? I'm all, what do you mean? It's
those
Ken
teeth.
Block, DC. And
Yeah.
Well, at the time
Look,
I was
bro.
like, no, it's not going to happen. You know, met them at the trade show and all that stuff. But the point is, it's like, you know, of how awesome and amazing that he was as a man and an athlete and everything that we know him for. Life's that quick.
It's that quick, man.
And so it's like, yeah, it's really, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like,
You have to find. I was telling when I King of the Hammer, it's like I feel like I'm in a really good place of work-life balance, and I finally found that. I think, and it's taken a long time to figure it out.
yeah,
But you have to. You got to have your work-life balance.
You have to.
Because you got to enjoy life, and you have to work though, because you got to make money to enjoy life, and you got to make sure that you're working enough to keep the business going, and then you also make sure that the fiance or the wives are happy, and it's just hard, man. It's got to find that perfect medium.
Well, and to tell you the truth, that's another reason why I said yes when you asked me to be on the podcast, because I'm like, you know, YOLO. You know, like I've been asked before from another friend, and I said no, I was scared or I wasn't ready, and then I'm like, dude, how long are you
What am
going
I
to
gonna
keep saying
lose?
no? Yeah,
Exactly.
it's my friends. We're going to have fun. We're going to figure it out, and hopefully people.
That's all it is,
you know.
man.
And if they don't like it, they'll skip on to the next episode. You know,
I mean, that's exactly how this podcast started. Was that same
all it
thing?
was,
Like
yep.
more of a YOLO moment.
like,
All
you know,
right,
let's do it.
let's
well, and
go
I've
for
seen
it.
other homies on there. I guess Jesse was just on too. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, I gotta listen to that. That's
Yeah.
rad. I want to hear his story.
Exactly.
You know, like, how cool.
It
you
is
know?
cool, man.
It's really awesome. So, what have you done lately to the Bronco? I mean, what adventures have you gone on with that Bronco?
So I live in Glendora by Azusa Canyons, and so
that's awesome.
I kind of go on my own little, you know, day trips where Glendora Mountain Road. I don't know if you guys know this, but Glendora Mountain Road, you can either go, when you go up, you can go left to Azusa, or you can cut right and go all the way to Mount Baldy.
Oh wow!
And so there's like fire roads and there's all these like cool things. And that's kind of like my thing to do is just
Go
You know,
cruise.
look, I'm in sales at the end of the day. I'm talking to clients all day. My phone's blowing up all the time. And I'm just like, I want to disconnect.
Yeah.
I need to get outside, you know, and all that stuff. So I haven't done anything to the Bronco because I don't
need
want
to?
Well, I don't, it's not, it's for one, I love patina. I love that it's old and beat up and it drives and it stops, you know,
Yeah.
like, which is very important.
It drives, it stops. It goes and stops.
It goes and stops, right? So I just kind of go on these little adventures, you know, by myself, and you know, and I don't off road. I mean, if anything, I'm on a dirt road, on a fire road, and stuff like that.
Just
But,
cruising.
yeah,
That's all you need, man.
but I will tell you this: so I've been at King of the Hammers just a handful of times, but I'm always seeing the older Broncos there, and I'm just inspired, you know, to see like. Because been to Calico and I've seen them crawl and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's not happening with mine. I'll buy a beater because I'll be, you know, like just seeing wow, what these machines do.
It's
Well,
pretty
because
incredible.
you picked this thing up prior to the new Bronco coming out, right?
Yeah. So again, I didn't know there was a new Bronco coming out at the time.
Yeah.
I just like old things. I mean, that
Nah,
Airstream
same.
I bought 20 years ago from the CEO at Diesel.
That's awesome,
I
man.
was in, get this story. I'm in Italy, right? So Diesel is this Italian denim company, back in the day.
Yep.
This is like early 2000s, like right after 9/11. So I'm in Italy and the CEO comes to me. His name's Andreas Kurtz. This man's amazing. He's like, Tepi, how many times have you been to my country? And I said, oh yeah, this is probably like my 4th time. He says, get up. I'm going to take you to lunch to my favorite spot. I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at my boss, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. He wants to go to lunch. He's all, with me? I'm like, no, just me. I said, I'll tell you later. I don't know. I don't know
jealous.
if I'm fired or what did I do? So that's the one thing I love about working with certain international brands, but I've also learned about working in these cultures is they're very much about who are you?
That's cool.
Yes, I know you're the sales guy, but who are you?
Are you as a person?
As a person, I want to get to know you better. So we're sitting there overlooking Lake Como. If you've ever seen
That's
how beautiful,
awesome.
I didn't know George Clooney or all those guys. I don't know. I'm in Italy. I'm just like, I don't know. I've been in a room talking about sales all day. So he's like, what are you into? And I said, well, at the time my son was little and, and I'm married and I'm like, well, we're saving up for an Airstream because I've always wanted one. I thought they're cool. He says, I have an Airstream. I said, you do? He says, I want you to have it. I want you to buy it. I said, well, how much do you want? He's all, doesn't matter. He says, when we get back, he says, how much money do you have saved? I said, like $1,000. He says, okay.
Like, we just started saving.
Yeah. That's a lot of
yesterday.
money. This is 2001.
Oh, yeah.
2002.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So he says, when we get back to New York after the sales meeting, I want you to give me the $1,000. And then when you get home, I'll tell you where it's at. It's in Colorado. I'm like, okay, cool. And that was pretty much it. I'm like, okay, I don't
that's
know.
amazing.
You're like,
I'm
is this real or what?
You don't know what it looks like. You don't know anything.
Yeah. How can I afford the CEO of Diesel's Airstream that he's trying to sell me?
And how are you going to convince the wife that this is actually a legit deal? You just didn't give away all your savings to someone.
Well, yeah. And so I get back home and I tell her, I said, we're buying an Airstream. We bought an Airstream.
We bought
She
one.
says, well, how much? And I said, well, I gave him $1,000. Well, what does it look like? I don't know. Well, where is it? I don't know.
She's like, you were an idiot.
Yeah, she's like, face changing, So I tell my dad, I said, Dad, I need you to help me. We have to drive to Colorado to pick up this Airstream in the mountains. He says, okay, fine, whatever. So we
I mean, how nervous are you at this point going, well, I hope
I'm
this is
committed
what
at
it
this
is.
It's not like you get a drop pin. It's like MapQuest.
There was no,
figure it
we
out.
had Blackberries.
That's what I'm
back
saying.
then.
You have MapQuest. You printed it out.
You're like, this thing's going to be the little teardrop one for the dog
I
that
don't
goes behind
know.
the motorcycle.
I didn't even know if I
idea.
could tow it. I didn't even know how big it was. My dad and I drive by ourselves 18 hours in
Oh
this.
my
We get to
gosh.
Colorado. I've never been to Colorado. We're in the snow.
It's a mess.
We pull. Apparently, it's at a Buddhist monk monastery in the mountains. We get there at like 3 a.m, and there's this Airstream. And it's a little one. It's called a Caravelle. It's like a 17, 18 footer, 1967. It's so bloody cold that we didn't even sleep because we tried to sleep inside the Airstream, but
Too cold.
it's been sitting there probably unused for God knows how many years.
Oh my God.
And we wake up, well, we try to get some sleep. We wake up the next morning. The sun obviously wakes us up. My dad brought a little air compressor. The tire, literally, this is how ridiculous we were. We air up the tires and we towed it home. Didn't know to check the bearings, the
Nothing.
axle, everything we know now.
Yeah.
No.
And it worked.
Got
it home?
I said, by the grace of God.
was just luck.
My,
It was just luck.
My mom and my wife were like, you guys did. I said, but that's my dad. My dad's just like, no,
go for it.
It hit. Yeah, we didn't know the ball size of the hitch. We just, I don't know. We just hitched it up and drove. So it's like, that's just me kind of, oh, that's cool. That looks great. I want one. And I just bought it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But, and again, I wouldn't sell it because of the stories.
No,
with my
you can't
dad
sell
and-
that now. Yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing. I always get asked, how much did you pay for this thing? And I think I paid $1,800 because I kept sending him money and all of a sudden he sent me the pink slip. But here's the interesting thing. When he sent me the pink slip, he wrote a letter and he said, don't ever sell this. And I was like, what? So there's been a lot of hard times, financially, all this stuff where I went to go and sell it. And I've had this overwhelmingly weird, eerie feeling. I remember I put it on Craigslist one day, and within minutes, a guy called me and says, I want to buy it. I have cash ready to go. What's your address? And I hung up on him.
I can't do it.
And I said, I don't know. I feel really weird. Something's going on. I pulled it off, and I told my wife, I says, hey, she's like, what's going on? I said, well, you know, times are tough. I went to sell the Airstream. She says, you can't sell the Airstream. You made a promise.
Shut up.
And here's the crazy thing. I ran into the CEO randomly one day in New York. And the only thing he said to me was, do you still have the Airstream? I said, yes.
Wow.
And he says, good. And he took off. And I'm like, see, we got it from a Buddhist monk thing. Maybe he did some, I don't know what he did.
Spirit on you.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
Dude,
anyways.
that is amazing.
But that is so rad. And it's such a part of your family. It's like, it's a connection to the family. And that's what like outdoors is so awesome about it, is like, it's really a time for family to go connect and exit reality for a bit. Like, we're going to Glamis this weekend. It's fun just to get out there and just check out from reality.
Glamis,
reset. Like,
He wants to go now.
I want to go. I'll just go and hang out. Like, it blows me away.
Sit by the campfire.
I'm like the biggest preacher now. I'm like, guys, have you heard of this place called Glamis? And they're like, you're an idiot. I'm all, I've been there. I've seen the promised land.
and guys, and so for people that don't know what an Airstream is, I mean, they're an aluminum trailer round.
It's those chrome trailers you see go down the road. That's all
chrome
it
ones
is.
that go down the road.
Yep.
And most people look at them like, what are they? But they are like essentially probably one of the most well-insulated, climate controlled on their own trailers out there.
It's Americana, man. They made them out of the aluminum that they used to make the airplanes out of, right back in the day.
I see all the rivets in the side of it too.
Yeah, the rivets. I mean, they're this time capsule of good old American, manufacturing back in the day. And I really haven't done much to it. I mean, obviously new tires and repack the bearings and stuff like that. But I mean, I do encourage people. I say, buying all these things, again, I've only bought certain things because I came up on a deal.
Yeah.
But they've changed my life. They're not only great conversation pieces, but it's so funny how, and I was just talking about this, like, we work so hard. We have all the technology in the world, but why are we drawn to go camping in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the dirt, and rough it?
It's our nature. It's already in our DNA.
Yeah, we're doing man stuff.
Man stuff, dude. Yeah.
Well, I mean, picture this vehicle, a 69 Bronco. It's like, it's green, but it's like not a navy green, but like, what would that be? What's the green called? What kind? Like an emerald green or forest green. Forest green. That's what I was going for. Like a forest green.
Yep.
But the 69 is such like an iconic body style too, and the way it sits, it just sits right. And then with the Airstream behind it, there's so much there. I mean, you have to get stopped everywhere you go. You get gas. People are probably talking about it. And you're probably getting people wanting to buy the thing every time you pull it out of the garage.
Yeah. A lot of it too is, because my thing is I love talking to old timers about these guys are in their 70s and 80s. And I said, give me advice and, about life and being a husband, being a man, all this stuff. And then, we talk about these cars and we talk about Airstreams, and they said, I regret selling. I used to have one. I sold it. Should have never done that. And I said, well, I get it because times get tough and you think, okay, I had a baby. I got to sell this or sell that. And I'm like, I understand selling a certain dirt bike or selling something like that or, a side-by-side. You could always go back to the dealership and buy one. But these old cars and stuff like that, I mean, it's really, it's kind of like that story. And I look as like, look, this I want to pass on to my great-great-grandkids.
Yep.
I want them to enjoy it. But I'll tell you one thing I learned. So the first time I towed the Airstream with the Bronco, learning about the short wheelbase and all this stuff, oh my gosh, I still have drum brakes on my Bronco.
Oh, man.
So I'm like telling the wife, we need to save up and put, disc brakes at least in the front.
Or put brakes on the trailer.
Yeah, I guess that's an option too. But, the thing is, it's like...
Disc brakes.
Still people... So the first time we took it camping was this vintage rally in San Dimas at Bonelli Park. And it can only be old trailers. And they also do a car show, which I'll invite you guys. Actually, it's coming up again in the spring.
That's really cool.
But people still cut you off. Like, I was driving Arrow Highway super slow, taking the back roads, people cutting me off.
Such jerks.
And I'm just like, I can't see. I'm pressing the brake and it's still pushing me because it's just a little, Bronco or whatever. But I'm just like, wow, no respect,
no respect for the elders.
No respect.
He's got his cane out the window.
Yeah, you damn kids.
Damn whippers. We were probably those kids too.
Yeah, definitely those kids.
Yeah.
They're so oblivious, man. So where did your name come from then?
Hans Tepi Benjamins is my name, but Tepi, Tepi, because I was named after this racer guy from Finland. Kind of looked like, what's that movie? It's called Speed, I think, with, I'm drawing a blank.
The movie Speed?
Yeah, where the racers, they race Grand Prix cars, and it's the guy, Hunt.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to go ahead and probably research this.
I know. It's
a
a great movie. Anyways, the guy was like that. He was like long hair, rock star guy,
awesome.
just racer. And so it's cool. I mean, I've seen the guy who I'm named after. But
does anybody ever call you Hans?
Yeah, two people from high school and a friend that I used
Hans
to.
is a really cool name too, though.
Yeah,
but Tepi is even
then
cooler.
SNL came out with Hans and Franz.
Yeah.
And I've heard it all, but it's all.
So is your dad Indonesian?
Dutch Indonesian, yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, he's still, they swear by Papa and Barkley. I've got them off of Norcos and all that stuff.
That's
They're
awesome.
still alive and kicking, and
I love it.
no, they're crazy old man,
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
What an amazing story.
Thank you so much for coming on and
I'm
helping
so
us
happy.
out with this.
I hope it's related to your audience and stuff like that. I know it's
I think it relates to anybody.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. I mean, this relates to everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's the cool part about it is.
Well, I think wrapping things up is I will encourage people to not be scared and take risks on certain things that you're passionate about, whether it's a career or something like that. Again, don't quit your day job and then just do it, because obviously I had to transition into this industry. It's a new industry. And we'll be talking offline about the dispensary and kind of, all the challenges that come with that, because it is licensed and legal and, and, you got California taxes. But the thing is, I do encourage people to, again, why has it taken so long to discover these beautiful places like Glamis and stuff like that, where it's like, I could have gotten in a truck and just driven out there. It's not that far away.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff's really local and you don't even know.
Yeah. And now it's just like, wow, I can't wait to go back out again and see, the real deal and all that stuff. And that's kind of where I leave it, is like, look, guys, life is short, take some educated risks and stuff like that. Don't be reckless. Yeah. But, whether it's exploring new industries or new things like that, like absolutely do it. And you might be in for, a pleasant surprise,
It's great advice. I mean, I've always said that too. Like, life is short. Don't make it shorter, but you got to live.
Yeah. Straight up.
Get out, enjoy it. Enjoy
great
Mother Nature, enjoy family,
And
friends.
if you're running a little too hard, feeling some pain, you take some of this
Exactly.
balm and put it on your neck.
Tomorrow's another day.
and you get back out and do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Well, thank you, man. Where do people find out more information about Papa and Barkley?
So papaandbarkley.com, we have a list of all the dispensaries. We're pretty much in 96%.
Cool.
And then if you want the CBD products, we're at Mother's Market here, in Orange County, Vitamin Shop, and, better CBD only stores, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but you can also buy the CBD in most of the dispensaries too, right?
We have, but that actually has the higher THC in it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
you can't buy just the plain CBD in those at dispensaries.
There's always going to be THC in it. But
no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. But if you bought something at, let's say, the grocery store, there's only 0.3%. So it's pretty much the same product, but what's in the dispensary is a higher THC.
Okay.
Yeah.
What point? 0.6?
It's
Just kidding.
more than 0.3.
Well, there we go.
What's your point, Brian?
There's no point.
Point taken.
Point taken. Good point. All right, that's it, you guys. Be sure to go check out Papa and Barkley. Some amazing products, and thank you for all the stories, man. It's been amazing.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Super rad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoa. Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got 'em picking up the pieces.